Yo, guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended. In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know about the OSSIDON. Now, I am going to show you basically the important things, and some of the smaller things I'll let you figure out on your own. But this is the OSSIDON. This is the size of it. Let's talk about how to tame it, what to do, all those kinds of things. Let's start by talking about the different types of abilities the OSSIDON has. So it is huge. Obviously, you can see that. You have this like giant protective sphere on its back. I don't know if you want to call it a sphere. It's more of like just a protective cone. It has some really good stats. You can see that the health goes up pretty well. Stamina is pretty good. You know, I haven't found that I need stamina too much. Weight is pretty decent on them, not super great. And then the melee damage goes up a pretty significant chunk as well. So they have, well, one basic attack, right? So there is a swing, and then a clap attack. So he will swing one claw, and then he will swing the second claw, and then they will do a second attack that will do a significant chunk of damage. And you can kind of chain it so you can hit something with that final attack if you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and go left. All right, so there's the big one. So it's going to be left, right, and then the big one charges up, and you can kind of hit something with the big one first, or however you want to do it. Now, the cool thing is he can actually run and attack at the same time. And there's a little bit of a knockback to the attacks as well. See how he kind of gets a little bit of a pushback. And that's what it is. So those are your primary attacks. Now, there are two other attacks that the OSSIDON has. If you hold right click, you will have a little target that zooms in or goes out. This target will allow you to shoot frozen spears out of the OSSIDON's mouth, just like that. And those will do a significant chunk of damage to anything nearby. Now, they also have an additional purpose, but I'll talk about that in just a second. So these little spires, basically, when something goes through them, it slows it down and applies a freeze effect, essentially. And it also serves as a boost for the OSSIDON's ball, which I'll show you in like 2 seconds here. But these aren't really going to be something you're going to want to use for damage. They don't hit very hard. But they're more of just meant to slow things down and have a small bleed effect on something when something is inside of that little cloud right there. Now, let's talk about the next attack in the OSSIDON. He makes a ball and pushes the ball. Now, the cool thing about this is it takes him a second to roll the ball up. But if you've ever played League of Legends, it's kind of like when Nunu rolls a ball, right? Now, this ball, you'll notice there's a number. It's 0. It's 1 out of 4 now, but it was 0 out of 4. You can essentially take a certain number of smaller creatures, and what you'll be able to do with those smaller creatures is add to the size of the ball, increasing the damage when you have it. So I have 2 total creatures in there now, right? Absorb size limit. So let's go ahead and add something in there. This is a medium-sized creature. Obviously, it's an RG. So that's 3 out of 4. We've got the absorb size limit to a 181. And we just added the 4th one in there as well. Now, it's going to have an increased amount of damage. And this ball will continue to roll until you run out of time with it, or until you run into something large. The cool thing is it's just going to run over every rock and tree in the area until you hit a large creature. Now, once you hit that large creature, it'll essentially explode the ball, doing a good chunk of damage to everything inside the ball, as well as the large creature. Now, you'll notice that the timeline is going down on my C option. When that ends, you're essentially going to do damage. You see 1,092 damage right there. And yeah, that's kind of what it is. So pretty neat how it works. So I'll go ahead and show you come on, thank you. There it goes. I'll show you this ability and how it works as well. So see how there's a little bit of a bleed occurring to this thing? So once you hit those down, there is going to be a bleed effect placed on them. And that is there. You see frostbite right there. The frostbite is going to bleed them slowly, and it's also going to slow them down pretty significantly as well. And that is how these special attacks work on this guy. Now, you can roll these spikes, these little icicles up if you want to, and that will increase the damage and size of the ball, and that's kind of like a hint to how you tame it as well. All right, movement-wise, this thing can jump with a space bar, and yeah, it's pretty neat. It doesn't have the ability to harvest anything that I'm aware of at this moment in time. It can destroy things with the ball, but it doesn't seem to be able to harvest anything, except for meat. It's very good at harvesting meat, so keep that in mind. Now, again, jump, and it does have a cool little ability to kind of rotate pretty quickly, so you can kind of like move it around like that. But that's pretty much all of the basic abilities of this guy. I think they're going to unlock some more abilities once red element becomes a thing over in the new map, Lost Colony. But yeah, so that's kind of the basic abilities of this guy. So let's go ahead and talk about how to tame him. I've got a video that's going to go much more into depth about this, which you should check out for some of the more frustrating things on this thing, because it can be really, really frustrating to tame it, because that happens right there. And they are very difficult to locate in a safe enough area. So let's go ahead and see if we can find a few. All right, OSSIDON, locate. Let's just go ahead and find this one, wherever this one is. Where are you? You are 1,000 meters this way. All right, so what you're going to need in order to tame these guys is a trank dart. Now, a trank dart with a good tranking weapon is my biggest recommendation, because if you have that, it'll make your life a lot easier. What you're going to do is you're going to shoot the OSSIDON until you have its torpidity up to about half. Once its torpidity is at half, it's going to have a little blue knockout symbol above it. And once it has that blue little knockout symbol like this, you are just going to ride it. It's going to go into this ball mode like we saw its ability, and it's going to show you a few neat little things. So there's essentially two things we're looking to do. You're looking to roll things up in this ball in order to tame it. You're going to try and do every single icicle you can. And you can see that this one specifically wants 33 icicles, and I have 1 minute and 40 seconds to do that. Now, you're also going to try and get 14 creatures in there, which is a lot more difficult because the icicles, he spits them out pretty consistently. And the creatures can be gathered in this ball and then rolled back up into it if they happen to fall out, so it makes it pretty easy. You'll see that I have 12 of 13 right there, and then 6 of 14, 7 of 14. And you have the timeline in the middle to actually get that done. Now, I'm not going to show you this whole thing because it takes a long time. I'll show you one little cycle, and that's kind of it. So if you get all 33 icicles and 14 creatures in the thing while you're doing this, it will give you the ability to tame it at 100% taming effectiveness. If you don't get all of the things in there, it's going to take whatever percentage of creatures you didn't get into the ball out of the ball. So see how we are currently at 9 out of 14 and 19 out of 33. That's really all we're trying to get accomplished here. All right, come on. 24, 25. And the cool thing is it will run over trees and stones without any problem at all. And then you just have to kind of keep rolling your ball. So now what I will say is a little bit of a frustrating thing is sometimes creatures will outrun you, and it doesn't have the greatest turning radius, but it's a pretty good turning radius. 11, 12, and there we go. So we happen to have, there we go. Okay, so 31, 32, 33. Come on now, hit this last. There we go. All right, so now you can get RGs, you can do anything like that, but my biggest recommendation is stay away from large creatures, because if you stay away from large creatures, 2 seconds, I'm not going to get it. All right, so we are at 97% taming effectiveness, and see how we get kicked off right there. You'll have to do it 4 times, basically, and that seems to be kind of like the generic thing. 4 times is just where it's at. So if it is aggroed to something, you have to wait until it is de-aggroed in order to try and shoot it again, because if you shoot it before that happens, it's just going to continue to try and attack you, and you won't actually be able to trank it. You'll just do damage to it. So what you want to do is you want to go just outside of render range or let it lose its aggro on you. As soon as it loses its aggro on you, you can then try and trank it again. See how it's gone back up, and that's kind of all you have to do. So yeah, so that's the generic thing. Now, if you want to see some of the more in-depth things, you should check out my other video, because that goes like 10-15 minutes into some of the little small nuances that I've picked up so far. And it will make, hopefully it'll make a lot more sense, because I know this is kind of me rushing through it. I don't want to spend 15-20 minutes on this because it's just one component of this really neat creature. So now, apparently I haven't noticed any major differences, but there are health differences with ones that have large craniums or heads, and then the ones that have larger teeth will do more damage. Now, let's go ahead and show you what I mean by that. So see how this one has like a big head on it? This one technically will have a higher health, but I haven't really noticed any major differences if you ask me. This one also has a large head and smaller teeth, and it's got, what, 4 health on a 45. So, I mean, I don't notice a major difference when I'm looking at them. Maybe I'm wrong, but apparently that's something that's they put in their notes for it. So maybe they'll get more specific on how things work. But that is the OSSIDON, kind of how it works, how to tame it, and what you need to know for it. So I haven't really tested if it's a good soaker yet, but that's going to take many, many hours, and I don't want to sit here and make you guys suffer through that. So that's kind of all the basics you need to know about the abilities and how to tame it. So hopefully this video helps you out. If you don't mind, smash that like button, leave a comment below, consider subbing to the channel. All right, teach out.